Many of you will probably remember there was a wonderful, he was known as the Bard of Tyrone, and he was a Presbyterian minister in Beara in Tyrone. He was known as the Reverend W.F. Marshall, and he had many fine poems and ballads. And one of his classics was called Me and Me Da, or alternatively, I'm Living in Drumlister. You probably remember the first few verses. I'm living in Drumlister, and I'm getting very old, and I have to wear an Injun bag to keep me from the cold. Och, there's deal a man in this town land was cleaner reared nor me, and I'm living in Drumlister, and clabber till the knee. Me da lived up in Carman, and he kept a servant boy. His second wife was very sharp. He buried her with joy. Her name was Flynn, and she was thin, and she come from Cullentra. And if me shirt's a clatty shirt, the man to blame's me da. And there are many more verses, obviously. But anyway, I was working in a bunch of schools, it's quite a few years ago now in County Tyrone. This wee girl says to me, why is it called Me and Me Da? I said, sorry? Why is it called Me and Me Da? Why is it not called Me and Me Ma? Now this lassie was about 10 or 11, so she was ahead of the posse, and I thought, oh. But then rather than panicking, says I'm going to be here for a few weeks, half a day, every week for 6 weeks or whatever. Why don't you construct an alternative to W.F. Marshall and call it Me and Me Ma from the woman's point, from the girl's point of view? And they came up trumps. And actually, I think if I remember correctly, this was published in the Ulster Herald, Me and Me Ma, and it captures the sentiment exactly of Marshall's, except the gender shift. And the final result was just absolutely superb. Me and Me Ma, I'm still living in Drumlister, and I feel very young. I have no need for Injun bags, and I'm not knee deep in dung. The daily child in Omi town was cleaner aired nor me, for I'm living in Drumlister, and there's not a speck on me. Me ma lives up in Carman, and I'm her eldest child. Me da, he thinks she's very sharp. I think she's wild mild. Now she is thin, her name is Lynn, and she come from Cullentra. And if me skirt's a clatty skirt, you cannae blame me ma. Concerning women, sure it was a constant word of Da's. Keep well away from them that's thin, for they're dravazy mad. But I know one, and she's me mum. She's been me ma for years, and boys, when she is very cross, it's me da bursts into tears. Now me mammy had no fortune, but a lovely smile would please, a glint and sparkle in her eye, and a cracking turn of phrase. Although her da was very wee, and her mammy she was stout, me ma she looked like Princess Di, with her posture and her pout. Now I'll tell no lying mammy, she thinks the world of me. I'll tell the truth, me heart still leaps, the sight of her to see. But Dad was slow, you surely know, and the reason of it now, if he left her home from Carman, sure her folks would rise her out. So he swithered back and forward till he got me ma. A fella tried from Mullislin, but he was run awa. I heard the day that they got wed, me ma she looked a trait. But me dad drank too much whiskey, and by evening he was bit. But whiskey cures no troubles. To ma, me da went back, and faced her for it every night, but she cut me da some slack. And they're still here, and fair as fair, their love it is a tara. And hand in hand they still look grand, and counting their tomorrows. They're still living in Drumlister, and don't mind getting out. They've all the comforts that they want to keep them from the cow. The Dale of One in this townland are happier than we, for we're living in Drumlister. Me da, me ma, and me. Superb stuff from the girls in mid-Tyrone schools. It was great fun at the time. Now, I'm going to be departing, but I'll join you again shortly for another, as we say, lock of minutes, share some poems and some yarns with you. Actually, I'll finish on two short ones. I was in a school in Donegal a couple of years ago, and there was every class as a comedian, as a teacher will tell you. I'll get them to write fairly long poems. You know, they had to be more than 6 to 8 lines at least. But this wee lassie was very stubborn and she wasn't giving in anyway. So, but I eventually got her to come up with a line, and she came up with the classic line. I says, "Have you the poem done, Mary," or whatever her name was? "I have," says she. I says, "Read it." And she went, "St. Patrick was a saint, but I ain't." Anyway, listen, we'll be catching up with each other shortly, and hope you enjoy the crack. And for the moment, this is Frank Galligan simply saying adios for now.